Hey, I'm Michael Bean, owner and head coach at Biz Studio and BD Street Studios, and this is a confidence on camera tutorial, making a self-tape. This is something that's going to get more important over the next couple of years, so figure it out now, and it's potentially a competitive advantage for you. How can you use the equipment that you've already got to record yourself doing an audition at home? And so let's walk through it as simply and cleanly as possible. The first thing to think about is what's called the frame. So the frame is like the frame on the TV or the frame of the picture. It's what the camera physically sees. And so what we want is nice and tight. We want to see the top of your head, but we don't want a whole bunch of space above your head. We want you to be in approximately the center of the frame. We want to see to just below your armpits. Now sometimes they will ask you to do what's called a full body slate, where they see your entire body. But for almost everything, your standard frame is what is called a medium close-up, which is from just below the armpits to just above the top of your head. You also want to be shooting with the camera at approximately level with your eyes. You want to make sure that you're in focus. If you are using a camera with a manual focus, then what you can do is make a mark for yourself. Right now I'm using blue painter's tape, just to show me where to stand so that the lighting is good here, the sound is good here, the camera can see me, and I will be in frame. It also helps me know when I'm in the center of my frame if I don't have somebody who's operating camera. Like let's say that I'm at home self-taping all by myself. If I make this mark and I set up the camera appropriately, that's something that I can entirely take care of myself. And once you know your frame, then you can play inside of that. We do actually want a little bit of movement in your tape. It's okay to take those little steps as long as you know where your frame is. You're not going to mess up the tape, and you will look more like a real human being. Once you've got the camera set up, and once you've got your frame, then you want to think about where your eyes are going. Your eyes are the most important thing for us to see in your audition. If you are utterly sideways, then even if you're doing brilliant work, we're seeing mostly your ear and your profile, and we're not seeing you. Your eye line should be as close to camera as possible without being directly at the lens. If you look right into the lens, you are looking directly into the eyes of the people at home, and that's jarring. In film and TV, the illusion is that the camera is watching you and you don't know the camera is there. What I want is for my eye line to be just this side of the camera or just the other side of the camera. It's important to have a light reflected in your eyes, otherwise you look kind of dead on camera. It's called an eye light. Now, I'm in a studio, so I have professional eye lights, but honestly, setting up the camera nice and close to you and then putting a desk lamp directly beside it on a stack of books so that it reflects in your eyes, just fine. Or if you can shoot across from a nice big window, because then you don't get any shadows on the wall behind you, even cleaner. The whole point is we want to be focused on you. We want to be seeing you, listening to you, be able to see and hear you clearly, and we don't want our attention to be on anything else. So don't shoot your car scene in a car. Don't shoot your kitchen scene in a kitchen. Shoot it against a nice blank wall with a nice clear eye light. With the camera or the microphone, if you've got an external mic, you don't have to have one. If you did a lot of these, eventually you would want to invest in one. Not necessary. What's necessary is that we hear you clearly. So if you're just using a camera that's got an onboard microphone, like the one your phone has, just make sure that it's very close to you so that you're nice and loud and clear. One of the classic audition mistakes is to have the reader, the other person who's reading the other side of the lines, be louder than you are. So just make sure that we can hear you much more loudly and clearly than the person who is reading the rest of the lines. One of the things that you want to think about when you're preparing these scenes for tape is file size. If you're recording on a phone, you might be able to use the raw files, but the idea is that you want the file small enough that you can email it, if possible. Now, if you have a movie program that came with your computer, if you have access to a computer at home or easy access to one, you just drag it right in there. Usually they'll have what's called an export function, and you try and export it in a small enough file size that you can send it in an email. So usually at this point, that's under 10 megabytes. There's a free program that I use called MPEG Stream Clip. So it's freeware, you can go and download it. It has good export functions and is somewhat faster and easier to use. So even if you don't have a movie program on your computer, that's a good option for you. Once you've got your frame, you've got your eye light, you've got your mark, the camera is set up at your eye level or slightly above, you're basically set. We can see you, we can hear you, there's nothing distracting in the background. Everything else is acting.